So hello, I'm Scary Moonchild.
I'm Friendly Cosmonaut.
And we're doing another devlog for Project Magenta. We thought we'd talk about our dialogue system this time because we are making some changes and we thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about kind of what we've learned from our experience and kind of the plan for the future and the reasoning behind it. And maybe if there are other people out there trying to make games and making decisions about how to structure their dialogue and how to have an efficient interaction between writers and coders and all of your team, maybe you'll find this interesting. So it is a little difficult because we have us two working on the project, which is good, but we're also kind of using another person. And if we get anyone else in, it might be a bit tricky trying to coordinate everyone just using the code system.
This one project that I have on my desktop. So, you know, there's licensing stuff that's going to happen with any engine. And I kind of want to avoid all of that mess and just have some way to interact with me, Scary Moonchild, and any of the writers in some kind of other document.
And I think it was also just getting a bit difficult because we were ending up with lots and lots of lines of text, and it was a bit difficult to search through it and organize it if we wanted to make changes and that kind of thing just on here. So
at the moment, all of our text will be in the different objects. So I have a lot of cutscene objects, and then those have text. So I have lots of text in here, and there will be probably tens and then hundreds in the entire game of these, and it's really annoying to track them down in the room to find exactly where I have a particular piece of dialogue. And you can imagine, so I'm the one that's put it there, and it's difficult for me, and then let alone anyone else who's trying to work in this project.
We went through stages of like using Google Docs, and then everyone just having access to that, but that was a bit annoying because it's just, you know, a huge block of text. We kind of settled on the fact that we should have some sort of editable table system that we can all work on and see, and that kind of organizes everything in terms of characters, in terms of line number, in terms of the act, the scene, the day, whatever. Trying to put all this information in to make it easy for us to edit and make changes that aren't going to affect the rest of the text when we make those changes.
So when I first started looking into this, I found that particularly people in GameMaker were suggesting several of the same kind of things. So one of them was to use like a JSON file. And I did consider that for a while. It also makes it easier to encrypt everything, but it's just not readable to non-coders. Again, there's a little bit of trouble with that. And you can use it like as an intermediate thing, but what I've settled on, just to make the process as simple as possible, is to use a spreadsheet like an Excel or Google Docs, Google Sheets, and then export that as a CSV and then load it into GameMaker, because GameMaker has a very nice function for loading in a CSV file to a data structure grid. And then from that grid, it's very easy to grab the information that you need. So this is our dialogue. So what I've kind of done when I was just setting this up, I thought about all of the different kind of information that we needed. And to be honest, the only things you 100% need is some kind of ID to reference that line of dialogue when you're in the game, to pull that thing out of the grid or whatever data structure. I actually ended up using a map, but I'll show you that in a second. And then, of course, the line of dialogue itself. And I'm actually not using any of this stuff. This is all just for us, for our team, to be able to sort through this dialogue. Because, for example, if I wanted to access something down here, maybe a conversation that's number 9, I could sort number 9, and then we get all of the lines from conversation number 9. And then within that, I can further filter it, for example, to just have Marina's dialogue. So obviously we could create as many filters as we want, but so far what's been helpful is just the actor, location, so the conversation number, the line number within the conversation, and then this next line is about if we have player choices that are directing the next line of dialogue to a specific line. Most of the time that's just blank. And then we have acts, which are the major sections of the game. At the moment we've got about 5 acts as well. And then we have days just as another way of organizing the sequence of the game. And then any general notes that we want to give to each other to explain, maybe like I want a character to
give a high five or do a spin.
Right. So that's as a way to kind of communicate to me to code that in.
So I think we kind of have this belief that like you can't do too much information if it's going to help you organize, because, you know, all of this is kind of not essential, but, you know, it could be helpful further down the line. We're trying to set it up so to be easier.
Okay, and I guess the most interesting one was just the IDs, because at the start I was just going to use numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, for any kind of line, because the ID itself doesn't matter. The sequence doesn't matter, because in the end I'm using a map data structure, which is where the order doesn't matter. It's just to do with the key value pair. But as it turned out, just using numbers, I was kind of picturing in my head if we were ever going to add or subtract one of the lines, it might just kind of screw up the order of things. So I thought maybe we should use a higher number. So I thought there might be cases where we have more than 10 lines in a single interaction, but I don't think we'll ever have more than 100. So I'm going to start everything with 100. So you'll see that the ID is going to correspond to the conversation number times 100 and then the line number. So for example, down here, this is the third line in conversation number 8. So its ID is 803. So again, that just kind of makes it easier if we're adding in or subtracting lines in the future. So once this is done, this is in Google Docs, so obviously I can just share it with whoever I want. But when it's done, then we are going to export it as a CSV file. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab this and put it in where my game is stored on my computer, and I'm just going to paste that in and replace the file. And so that is now kind of in the right spot. And then I have a game object that is involved in extracting this piece of information. So we just load this in. So that's really the only function that you need to load it in. As you can see here, it creates a grid data structure, which is just going to correspond to the cells in Excel. Really, everything is going to look exactly the same. But then, as I said, I actually only need these ones and I don't need any of these pieces of information. So what I actually do is create a map where the ID forms the key and the value is the line of dialogue. So right here, this is just kind of converting that into here. I also have a little thing for converting player choices. So here, for example, to indicate to my text box that I have a dialogue choice, I just put these slashes in here, and then my system kind of passes this information and it's going to separate these two lines into different player choices. That's just something that I needed to set up. That's very particular to my system. It might be fine for you to just have it on all your different lines. So basically, yeah, that just adds everything that it needs to into the map. And then if I run the game, and I'll just show you that data structure in the game. So there we go, everything is loading. And in here, I'm going to stop the game running. This is where my data structures are kept. So this is the grid that is loaded in directly from the CSV file. And you can see here in this first column is all of my IDs, so those all loaded in correctly, and all of the lines of code and everything. And then my map, you can see the keys and the pairs in here as well. So all of this means that when I'm actually putting in the dialogue now, for example in here, so whereas it used to be something like this, now all I have to put is that. Because this is just going to direct my text box, the thing that is parsing everything, to look at conversation number 4, and it's going to get all of the keys that have the 4, 0, and then whatever the number is index. So that's what I've got so far. And you can see that everything does work if I read the line of dialogue.
So we'll be using this system moving forward. We have no idea if this is going to stick or if we'll have to make changes later on. Possibly there are much more efficient ways of doing this, but this is just what we've set up.
Yeah, and it seems to be working well.
I think it's important to show this kind of thing because I know a lot of people show devlogs, but it's pretty hard to find what developers do to organize things, because I feel like everyone is afraid of showing their behind the scenes crappy organization structures. So I'm pretty interested to know if people have similar things or like completely different things, or if there are like really innovative ways to do this that we don't even know about. Yeah, because we kind of had no idea where to look, really.
Yeah.
And so we hope that this helps other people out there.
Yeah, I have a feeling that there is going to be more efficient
definitely
ways of doing this, but this is just the simplest one, and to be honest, that's going to win over more complicated stuff.
Yeah, we don't really like want to like get more programs that would do it for us or like hire someone to do it. This is just, you know, a couple of indie devs using what they have.
So I hope you guys are all well and found that interesting. That's it for now. See you next time.
Bye.